Yeah, she's listening. Becca, we're ready.
Yep,
We're ready to go.
Yep, you're good to go.
Good evening and welcome to the Scottsdale Historic Preservation Commission remote public meeting. The purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission, in part, is to establish standards necessary to preserve the historic character of resources designated historic, develop, maintain, and from time to time amend plans for the preservation of resources of historic significance in the city, and review proposed alterations to historic and archaeological resources through the Certificate of Appropriateness process. Until further notice, meetings will be held electronically and remotely while physical facilities are not open to the public. Meetings are televised on the city YouTube channel as posted on the agenda to allow the public to listen and view the meeting in progress. Only written comments submitted electronically are being accepted. To be considered, please submit your written comment on an agenda item at least 90 minutes before the meeting's scheduled time. The agenda consists of the roll call, administrative report, minutes approval of the prior meeting, regular agenda items, non-action items under which no vote will be made by the commission. I remind our audience that the review relates to historic preservation matters and does not include consideration of existing zoning district designations, zoning entitlements, or the allowed uses within the zoning districts. The commission's motion may be to approve with modified stipulations, to deny the request, or to continue the case. Thank you for your interest and time. Now we will begin the meeting with the roll call.
Chair Schweiger.
Present.
Vice Chair Davis.
Present.
Commissioner Edmonds.
Present.
Commissioner Brousseau.
Present.
Commissioner Fadoc.
Present.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Present.
Commissioner Kinchin.
Present.
Thank you.
The first action of the commission will be the administrative report by Doris McClay.
Doris McClay. Chairman Schweiger and commission members, wanted to let you know the Prada del Sol parade has been moved to April and it's tentatively scheduled for April 17th. That's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McClay. The next action of the commission will be the approval of the meeting minutes. Are there any commissioners wishing to speak?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a set to accept the minutes as presented?
Chair Schweiger, I'm having a difficulty find the raise hand command. I think there might have been an update telling me how to pursue that. Do I need to do the raise hand?
Just so you know, I cannot see it because I had to call on my phone. So
I'll just say that this is Commissioner Hosmer.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 3rd, 2020 Historic Preservation meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Who was that second?
Oh,
seconded?
sorry. Commissioner Fadoc.
Thank you, Commissioner Fadoc. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we want to do a roll call vote for the all in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Karen, can you help me up with that?
Absolutely. Chair Schweiger.
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Edmonds.
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau.
Yes.
Commissioner Fadoc.
Yes.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Kinchin. Commissioner Kinchin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Karen. We now move to the regular agenda item 3, 2020 Historic Preservation Commission Annual Report.
Doris McClay. Chair Schweiger and commission members, so you've been presented the annual report, which is an update on what happened, what the commission did last year. Please, if you have any changes, let us know on that, and then we would just need a motion for you to approve it. Thank you.
Peter Hosmer. Ms. McClay, is that something that we want to put then on the next agenda for a vote?
Chair Schweiger and Commissioner Hosmer, if you haven't had time to review it, it was sent with the link was sent with the agenda. So if you haven't had time to review it, I guess we could continue it and put it on the next agenda. Thank you.
I got a chance to review it. I did not have any issues with it, but I'm open to any guidance from the rest of the commission.
Commissioner Schweiger, since I didn't get to review it, I will just refrain if you want to go ahead and make a vote.
Well, since you're Commissioner Hosmer, I really would like to make sure that you buy into it. So are there any other comments from the rest of the commission? And please remember, I can't see hands raised on my phone.
Well, then I think I would suggest that we just put that on the agenda for next month. Peter Hosmer.
Okay.
Doris McClay, Chair Schweiger, we'll add that to the February agenda. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to regular agenda item 2, 7 HP 2020 number 2, Coldstead Townhouse Front Yard Landscape Renovation.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Chair Schweiger and members of the Historic Preservation Commission. My name is Jesus Murillo. I'm a planner here with the city, and today I'll be presenting in front of you 7 HP 2020 number 2, also known as a Coldstead residence. Next slide, please. As you can see from the graphic, the site is generally located on the southwest corner of East Chaparral Road and North Miller Road. Next slide, please. A closer look at the site, you could see that the site is more specifically located on the north side of Mariposa Drive to the west of North 75th Way. The Chaparral Villas are located to the north and the CAP Canal is located to the west. Next slide, please. As you can see from the graphic, the site is zoned R5 HP, which is a multifamily residential district with a historic preservation overlay. That is the same zoning that is located to the east, south, and to the west of the site. To the north, again, the Chaparral Villas zoned multifamily as well without the historic preservation overlay. Next slide, please. This slide just shows the entire Villa Monterey community, and I've highlighted in the yellow specifically the Villa Monterey Unit 1, in which this site is located, and the site is identified by that little red square outlined with a white. Next slide, please. So the applicant is requesting the addition of a low-scale wall within the front yard, the addition of artificial turf, and that's approximately 150 square feet, replacing the concrete drive with concrete pavers, to provide awnings over the windows and carport, retroactive approval of an existing paved walkway, and also the retroactive approval of a tree that was removed. Next slide, please. This image shows you the site as it is today. Next slide, please. This is the site plan and elevations provided by the applicant for the benefit of the commission. Staff has enlarged these for the purposes of the discussion. Next slide, please. As you can see here, this is the proposed site plan enlarged to show the front yard. From left to right, you can see the existing paved walkway, which is being requested to be approved as part of this application. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see an image of what materials the paved walkway has been constructed with. And then in the center of the yard there, you can see the proposed artificial turf. Just to the north of the artificial turf, you see the proposed wall. That will be a maximum height of 3 feet, and it will be lower than that. It's approximately 10 feet in length. Just to the east of that, you will find the driveway where the applicant has proposed to remove the concrete slab and replace that with concrete paver. So in the upper right-hand corner, you could see the material, color, and pattern that the applicant is proposing. Next slide, please. So this is an enlargement of the elevations. And as you can see from this, the elevation identifies the 2 locations of the awnings being proposed. In the upper left-hand corner, you could see the color and the pattern that the applicant has proposed. Currently, the owner is not proposing to provide, at least with this phase, an awning above the window. The request is there for this one in case in time in the future the applicant wishes to put an awning over that window as well. The elevation also identifies the proposed wall. And as you can see, the wall, or sorry, as per the stipulations, the wall has been stipulated as per what you can see up in the upper right-hand corner, that the materials match the existing paint color of the house and also match the existing brick material. Next slide, please. Through the review, staff identified that a larger tree had been removed that was located in the southwest portion. I'm sorry that those dates disappeared. In 2018, that was located in the southwest portion of the property. The owner has identified that the tree was removed because it was causing structural damage to the roof tile and to the roof itself. And so as part of that, staff and the owner has agreed to be stipulated to provide a 24-inch box tree somewhere in the front yard. Next slide, please. So some key items for consideration: compliance with the zoning ordinance for the open space requirements for the R5 designation on the property, which the property currently does, compliance with the interim guidelines for the Via Monterrey units 1 through 7. The applicant has received HOA approval for the proposed improvements. The project does meet the open space development standards for R5 as stated before, and staff did receive a call in opposition to the turf and the wall, stating that the improvements did not meet the historic nature of the Villa Monterrey property. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the Historic Preservation Commission approve the certificate of appropriateness with historic resources as per the attached stipulations. Next slide, please. So this slide kind of identifies some of those notable stipulations. As you can see, the first one is that the proposed wall and paint color brick materials match the existing structure, and that the wall not exceed 36 inches in height. The proposed awning include the 2-tone striped awning design, but limited to the earth tones, brown, greens, terracottas, etc. And because the applicant is proposing the black and white colors. The stipulation also states that if for the future proposed awning, that it match the existing, or the awnings being approved through this request. That the proposed driveway use the slate gray concrete pavers in a pattern that is horizontal and vertical, as shown in the previous images, and that the owner submit a landscape plan showing the existed potted plants being placed into the ground and the addition of that 24-inch box tree. Next slide, please. So the commission does have some options for the request. The first is to approve as submitted and reference how the request meets the guidelines. Approve only portions of the request and deny others, again citing the guidelines as per the decision. To approve the request with stipulations, to continue the case for additional work or more information, or to deny the case referencing how the request does not meet the guidelines. Next slide, please. So that concludes staff's presentation. Staff is here to answer any questions, and the owner is also here and has a presentation to provide to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murillo. Since the owner has a presentation, why don't we allow them to go ahead and do their presentation, and then we can have commission discussion. Thank you.
This is Ed Colstead. Are you waiting for me to respond at this time?
Yep, go ahead. It's your turn.
Okay. All right. I just want to introduce myself to the committee. I recently moved here in 2018. Since then I've been appointed to the Architectural Review Committee in the Villa Monterey 1, also to the board. So this is a great learning experience of what I can pass on to our future residents who come in with questions or requests for their front yard. When I laid out my front yard, I basically went to Chapter 8 of the Historic Preservation Commission's guidelines. Through that is how I came up with the design that I have. After doing the research, it appears the original architect's vision was a country club resort style landscape, which included palm trees, grass, that kind of information. So with that in mind is kind of what I learned. After getting the stipulations from Jesus, I went out for a little walk, and I had some real concerns. First of all, in the front of my yard, I've got two 80-foot fan palms that I maintain each year that I have to trim. So you have to understand how small these yards are that we have as far as landscape goes. There's not a lot of room. So I walked down to the end of my street, and it's this first slide that's been brought up. You can look on the house on the right has a wine-colored awning. The house on the left with the huge Palo Verde tree does include a small site wall, and the awning that is behind that is actually a black and gold striped awning. The reason I'm bringing this up is because when I researched awnings, I found nowhere in the guidelines that said I needed to be earth tone beiges and such. So I just wanted to take a look and see what was around my existing neighborhood my neighbors were doing. So next slide, please. Here we go. As I turn the corner and I walk up, this is real similar to the awning I'll be using. My awning is black with more of a gray stripe, not a white. The gray is being used so it can tie into the pavers that we're going to be using for the driveway. I have the same black architectural wrought iron detail around my windows. I've also got a black lamppost. So the black and gray kind of ties the whole elevation together. If you look at the whole house, you're going to see black and gray on the right side. You're going to see black and gray on the left side. Next slide, please. This is another right at Chaparral and Miller. Here's another Palo Verde tree that is way overgrown for the scale of the house. Again, I really hope everybody is familiar with Chapter 8 of the guidelines, because specifically the wording is no trees or bushes should be blocking the elevation from the street. So with that in mind, I just hope everybody's understanding that. So next slide, please. Here's one where it's just solid black awnings that were put in. Again, I was doing this with the idea of the earth tones, and I can tell you why I did not go with striped awnings I did go with striped awnings because most of you know, anytime you have a solid color, any kind of stain, a droplet or anything really looks much dirtier when you have a solid color as opposed to a striped. So that's the reason for my striped awning. Next slide, please. Here's another one, just walking around the corner, just a solid black. And again, this is all 5-6 minutes from my house, walking around the street. Next slide, please. Here's one that's just a charcoal gray type of awning. Again, not an earth tone, from what I read in the Chapter 8. Next slide, please. Here's one that's got a sky blue type of awning on it. And this is very typical in the neighborhood. I've only took a picture of a couple streets I was on. So I could have taken 15, 20 different pictures of different awnings. So I'm just trying to give the committee an idea that this is what's going on in our neighborhood. And I think it looks great. I think it really looks good. And this one has natural grass in the front yard. You can see in the back, it's got a little site wall there, kind of hiding whatever he's got behind it. So next slide, please. This is the house my wife fell in love with. This is what we're trying to achieve. This has everything in it that we're going to be doing. This has the gray pavers in the driveway. The grass you see in front is artificial grass. It has a low site wall, much bigger than what I've got. The awnings that are on there are similar to mine. Again, mine have more gray stripes rather than the white stripes. But he's introduced some nice pots in the front with some different colors that I just think this is a great looking landscape from the street. The curb appeal here is what I think really sets off this house compared to the others. That would be the last slide that I have. The small site wall that Jesus mentioned basically is following the guidelines set forth in chapter 8 again, where I have right in the front of my house, they plumbed it. I have 2 hose bibs. The main water line comes in right there. Well, when you hook the hose up to the hose bib, when you look at my house, there's you've got the hose bibs, you got the hose, it's all just laying there. The site wall is basically being used to hide that from the street. It's a low wall, painted the same color as the house. The artificial grass I'm putting in is just to tone down some of the rock, the hardscape that's prevalent in the neighborhood, and just kind of make it feel like a cooler look back to the resort style that the initial Villa Monterey was designed for, basically. So I'm just hoping for your approval so that I can make my wife happy and make our front yard look good. And then I can be able to help our residents in our neighborhood when they want to start making changes to their landscape. One other thing about the box tree, the big trees. Right now, I'm not, I don't think I have the room to put a 24-inch box tree. And with that said, you got to understand, we are a 55 and older community. People that have planted the 24-inch box trees when they were 55, a lot of our residents in our neighborhood are now in their upper 70s, upper 80s. We even have some 90-year-olds in our community. Financially and physically, it's a real struggle for them to maintain these trees. And again, if you go back to chapter 8, the design is not to have these big trees in the neighborhood. You're supposed to be able to see the elevations. That was the architect's vision. So I just want to be clear on these trees. We did have some criminal activity over the summer. And so we actually had the Scottsdale Police Department come out to our neighborhood and do a drive-by to see what we could do, if we had enough lighting, do we need to add lighting? And his biggest recommendation was overgrown vegetation in front yards, that bushes, trees were not being trimmed back far enough, and that criminals could hide or people could hide back in these areas. And so my design that I put together really stays with sharp angles, similar to what the picture you're looking at now, where you can see the house, the residents inside the house, me, can see out to the street. And I just think it's a great design, and I'm hoping for your approval. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments from the commission?
Peter Hosmer. Mr. Kolstad, I want to thank you for taking the time and effort to putting together a presentation and explain your concept. It really helps the commission to understand, where you want to go with this. I do have a couple of comments. I went out and looked at the neighborhood, and there's a variety of methods of putting awnings over driveways, all of which I think are a little clumsy, and I don't see anything that specifically shows how you would do it. What I'm referencing is 4823 North 75th Way, which is just around the corner from you. It's a red awning that has.
I know the one you're talking about. It has a
Okay,
pole.
so I'm right. I'm looking at that one. And then I'm looking at 4837 North 74th Place that just has a subtle awning just vertically hanging down a short distance across the driveway. And then probably the one that I'm most opposed to is the 4833 North 75th Way, which is basically 4 or 2 posted steel with the awning coming out at a very low angle. And it looks inappropriate and doesn't look, it looks very foreign to Villa
Right.
Monterey.
I agree.
So I guess my opinion is that, go ahead.
I'm saying, I agree with you 100%.
Okay, so
When we had, I think it's Phoenix Tent and Awnings, the one that came out and gave us our bid. And the awning only sticks out maybe 28 inches, 30 inches. It's really a low design. There is no poles in the vertical poles that will be needed to support the awning. It's basically just cantilevered right off the wall. And it looks really similar to the picture I've got up there. There really is no vertical support to it. It's strictly a cantilever off the wall.
Okay, so I think that's important, that for the commission to understand visually what your carport awning is going to look like, to get a drawing and details. Obviously, the flat elevation doesn't give us the 3D perspective of it. Phoenix Tent
Correct.
Awning should be able to provide you something that shows you a little, or shows the commission typically more the depth and how that proportion works, so it doesn't look like somebody's trying to extend carport by extending an awning. And
yeah, the reason for the awning, Peter, was basically for balance. I'm putting it over the carport so that I can balance the awning that's over the window. And after this last summer, with the 120 degrees every day, our guest bedroom was getting really hot. So we came up with this idea of putting these awnings on. And like I said, the one over the carport is going to be exactly the same as the one that's over the window. Same size, same cantilever. And it was just a balance to kind of balance out the house rather than having one little awning just sticking off the front of the house.
okay, I think architecturally, I don't particularly care for a full awning, meaning one that looks like the full awning that you're showing in the picture that's on the screen now, having that across the carport. It looks foreign. Now, I'm sympathetic to the fact that because they're open carports, you don't get shade on the back of your car. There's excess heat, etc. I think if they're toned down, they work a little better. I'm not opposed to the awning that you want to put on the house. I think the elevation that you're showing currently on the screen is highly contemporary.
I'm looking at what I'm seeing on the screen is the last house that was in my presentation.
I know, I'm sort of moving on to a different discussion.
Yeah. So I'm really not seeing what you're seeing.
Okay, 7701 is the address with a white house with black and white stripes.
Okay.
To me, it looks tremendously contemporary and doesn't look like it's as it was back in the 60s and 70s. And I would hate to think that this is the direction we're going. There's a lot of homes being built now, current homes, where they're using black metal roofs or black tiles and white buildings, and this is starting to look a lot like that. One of the comments I want to make about the trees is the intent is not that you put a tiny little bottle tree in your front yard. The intent is that the trim be maintained and trimmed such that air can flow through it and light can flow through it, and you can see the elevation of the building. This can be achieved with the palaveries, the mesquites, etc. Understanding that it is costly and it does require maintenance, but I think the intent is that you don't want a tree as bushy as the one you show in the picture to shield the elevation. This tree would be more appropriate if it were thinned so that you could see through it. So
I agree. I guess my point is, I've like I said, I've got two 85-foot fan palms in my front yard. My front yard is really not that big. If we have a situation in our neighborhood, and you might have seen this when you're driving around, where people had saguaro cactus and trees. Well, now it's all grown in together. We've got saguaro cactuses growing right out of the tree.
right. So
I'm afraid that if I
don't
put a tree in, will it encompass my palm trees?
right. And I don't think you've got this in your case as the applicant to change the trees in there. So I don't think that's an issue. I think your
No,
palm
like
tree-
I'm struggling finding a place where staff has recommended a 24-inch box tree. I'm just struggling with how small. You can see how small these yards are, and
Well,
it just doesn't seem like there's really much room.
Right. Proportionally, I don't think it would work to add a tree to where the palm trees are. I have a similar situation, and I hate looking at two sticks that go up 85 feet.
No, I know. I know.
It's cheaper to maintain the trees than it is to cut them down.
Yeah.
But I just want to go back to the carport awning. I'm not wild about the look of it, and I want to make sure that the commission understands what you're intending to do and what it's going to look like, so we can all decide whether that's an issue or not.
Okay. Let me just make sure we clarify that what you're seeing on the screen is showing white stripes. Mine are more of a dark gray.
I'm just talking about the awning that you
Okay.
want to build over the carport. Sounds like it will be as big vertically and horizontally as the one that you're going to provide over the window.
No, they're actually the same exact size. The cantilever from the front of the wall out is the same distance over the carport and the window. What I've drawn here in the what I drew here in the elevation.
That's my issue, is that if it is the same size, just wider, I think it's disproportionate and makes the carport look like it wants to be a window. And then let me see, I think the question for Mr. Murillo is, don't we have something in the guidelines about using earth tones for the pavers? Am I incorrect in that?
Chair Schweigert and Commissioner Hosmer, there are references in the guideline to having different types of natural colors and earth tones throughout the document. It doesn't, that I don't remember it said anything specific to just the pavers, and staff thought that in a previous discussion that I know some people had preferred that the paver be the same color as the concrete to not identify that a larger change had been made.
Okay, thank you.
Just let me interrupt one more second. This is Ed Colstead again. I researched this guideline pretty good, and I think you're talking about Chapter 7, and all it really says at the end is that awnings should match kind of what was there. It really does not give us, it says something about metal awnings, that I don't think they want metal awnings, but it really doesn't give a color. However, our HOA was very concerned about the same thing you're asking. We, as the Architectural Review Committee, we're not interested in a bunch of wild colors in our neighborhood. So they reviewed the color that I showed them, which I was able to take right to them rather than just a picture that you guys are seeing. And they approved that and thought that would be okay.
Okay. One other comment that I have is I'm not at all in favor of artificial turf. It's too contemporary. I think it's an awful thing to do to a front yard, quite frankly. But I guess to sort of wrap up my comments relating to the colors of the pavement, if there's no guideline that would restrict you from doing the colors, then there's no issue on the pavers. Unless any of the other commissioners have a comment. As far as the canopy over the driveway only, I think it ought to be a little bit more scaled down and smaller in scale, so it doesn't look like it's trying to be a window. And I'm opposed to the artificial turf, and I'll let the rest of the commission make their comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hosmer. I see Commissioner Brousseau's hand up. Commissioner Brousseau?
How are you?
Hi.
Hi. Great. I just wanted to say thank you so much as well for putting together such a beautiful presentation. It's so thoughtful. This is really a lead by example type of a situation, I guess, if we've ever had one over there. I remember driving by these places literally half a lifetime ago for me, 25 years ago almost. And I think some of those awnings were there back then. So it seems to me like we have sort of the way things were and the way things are going to be. And you guys are at a real crucial, you're at a crossroads right now. You got to start sort of, showing people what you want by, doing it yourselves.
You're exactly right. Is we're finding new residents moving in as the older generation is moving on.
Yeah.
We're getting younger residents in the neighborhood, and they're looking at they're kind of using me as an example, to be honest with you.
Sure
they all saw the sign in the front yard, and some of them are excited to. They want to see how this is all going to work out.
I got to tell you, I mean, this is what makes that place so great, though, is that it isn't all exactly the same. I know we're going to try and get to that point, but I remember when many of the driveways were still painted green. I mean, that's a long time ago, right? Because
Wow.
How many are even painted green anymore? Just the ones on maybe Chaparral, a few of them, but there used to be tons of. I mean, it's just such a cool place.
We love it. We actually love it here. We're going to be here a long time.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. So I guess to me this grass issue is. It is not a sustainable product, and I think that's probably the biggest issue that everybody has with it. It tricks you into thinking that it's something it isn't.
My only suggestion to that is Chase Field just replaced all their natural grass with artificial grass.
Right.
We're only looking at 150. This is such a small little area. I've had natural grass at my other house, and I've gotten. If you look at Jesus had a picture of my backyard. That's not artificial grass back there.
Right.
And I think it's come a long ways in the last 5-10 years. It's so much different than what it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yes, keep up the good work there. And, I guess the pavers and the grass, I mean, this looks nice, but whenever I see grass that's so perfect like that, I know it's fake. I know it's fake.
I know. Well, let me offset that with a different argument. We do have people in the neighborhood that have natural grass, and it's horrific. It's dead. It's you know how it is to have a natural Bermuda grass. Where, like I said, my concern here was trying to soften up some of the hardscape. Everything was granite. Rock, but I got masonry walls for the elevation. I just needed to soften it up some, and I was hoping the grass would do that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think you've done a great job, and really thank you again for
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brousseau. I see Vice Chair Davis's hand up.
Yes, and I want to thank you also for a great presentation
Thank you.
and state that I share Commissioner Hosmer's concerns about the awning over the garage, the size of it. I think I'd like to see it a little smaller as well.
I'm struggling with this because you guys are looking at a little elevation. My carport's only about 12 feet wide. I don't know, the awning only sticks out a couple feet. It's only 12 feet wide. I really can't stop the awning. It just goes from one, I'm hoping you guys aren't looking I'm just trying to look at my elevation here. Yeah, that carport is only, you know, maybe that awning is maybe 12 feet, maybe 12 feet. So I don't think the scale is what you are thinking it is. So,
It
like
might
I
be.
said, I don't see it being that big. It's definitely not as big as the one that what's on the screen right now. That's almost a 2-car garage. Mine is a 1-car garage that my wife's her Jeep Compass barely fits in. When you open up the doors, it's tight. So the awning is not all that as big as what I think you guys are thinking it is.
I think it would help us if we had a better front elevation drawing. You know, the one that was provided, I had a hard time
Yeah,
learning the size of everything.
You know, to be honest with you, this is my first time going through this, and I really didn't think it was going to be that big a deal because I'd seen all this stuff all over our neighborhood. So I was very surprised when it's gone to this, as far as it's gone. So I probably didn't produce as much as I should have. I just kind of figured, okay, they're just going to approve this because that's what's being done. And I could have definitely given you a better idea of what was going on here. So that's definitely my fault.
Oh, no worries. That's understandable. But that's it for my comments.
Thank you, Vice Chair Davis. I see Commissioner Fedek's hand up.
Hi, yeah, thank you again for the presentation. It's beautiful. Would it be possible for us to go back to the elevation, the original elevation of your home? Can we see that?
You know, I've never provided, I didn't provide a elevation of my home. Are you talking about a slide or just the one that Jesus had?
Karen, would you please go to
I
slide
think it was
7?
the one Jesus had.
Okay. Yeah, because I never took a picture of my house.
Karen, it was slide 7 of my presentation.
Still there?
Yeah, I think Karen is trying to get to slide 7.
You know, my screen just goes blank, and I wonder, you know, not only is this hard enough to do in Zoom, you know, this is my first time doing it, so.
Well, we're all in this together.
Yeah, well, it's going great. Okay, there you go. So when you look at that elevation, the awning does not go all the way across from that. If you look at the right side, the awning only goes over to the opening. It does not cross over to that window that's there. If that makes sense.
So the awning is on the window on the left and then over the carport?
Exactly. It's not over that center window.
Okay.
So it's really much smaller. Like I said, that car barely fits in there. So it's really not that big of an awning to begin with. I needed it for was to balance out the elevation. I thought without it, with the big with the big structure over on the left side, it looked like it was real heavy on the left side. So by putting the awning over on the right side, it kind of balanced out the elevation, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
You know, otherwise it's going to look like everything's over on the left side and nothing's on the right. So I wanted to kind of show from the curb how big I was trying to make my house a little bit bigger, make it longer by adding that awning.
Well, and I guess I share Commissioner Hosmer's concern about having that look like a window. To me, it almost makes more sense that you would have 2 awnings over the windows and not the carport, if that makes sense.
But there is an overhang underneath that middle window. There is already an overhang there that
right.
It goes all the way over. So I don't really need
Gotcha.
the awning there. I was putting it, like I said, I put it on the other side as just a balance so that everything isn't on the left side of the elevation.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for explaining that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fedek. Are there any other comments or questions at this time from the commission? Commissioner Kinchin.
Hi, Commissioner Kinchin here, and just real briefly, I again wanted to thank the applicant for the thorough presentation. And I have similar thoughts to Commissioner Hosmer, Brousseau, and Fedak regarding, I guess, mostly the turf. You know, as a homeowner myself, I have turf in my backyard that I inherited when I purchased my property, and I, you know, working in real estate, you know, we're always kind of conflicted between natural grass and turf, and then in a historic district, obviously, you know, it's a whole different ball game. But yeah, so it sounds like we're all having the similar thoughts on this, but I really, really appreciate the thorough presentation, and I'm looking forward to the dialogue on all this. So thank you so much.
I do. If I have one question, if I was submitting for natural grass, would it be an issue?
I don't believe so. Chair.
See, I was more concerned more about the drought and the water and the cutting and the, you know, the heat, global warming. That's kind of one of the reasons we were going with the way we did. You know, I don't have to run sprinklers over there. Again, you need to overseed it in the winter so that it looks good. You're cutting. It just seemed like it was not environmentally the direction that we would want to go in today's day. You know, that's just me. I guess I'm not, you know, up on all this stuff. I just assumed that was the direction everybody was going. Like I said, Chase Field itself has replaced their grass with artificial, just for savings and the environment. So, but I appreciate your honesty.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering our questions. At this point, I would like to have some conversations among the commissioners. Mr. Colstead.
Sure, absolutely.
But thank you. I want to
Okay.
reiterate what the rest of the commissioners have said. Fabulous presentation, very thorough work and you know, looking at your neighborhood and being very conscious and mindful.
Well,
and we do appreciate that.
The bottom line is we're going to be here a long time, and we'd like to make this place look as the best it can.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, are there any comments that you wish to discuss amongst ourselves? I see Commissioner Fedak's hand raised.
Apologies, I forgot to put it down.
That's all right.
Peter
Okay,
Hosmer.
Mr. Hosmer.
Mr. Colstead, I want to make sure you understand that I don't want to discourage the hard work that you've done and trying to beautify and love the home you're in. I'm just trying to be representative of the historic nature of your community, which sometimes doesn't work in the same direction that a lot of homeowners want to go. I think just to go back to the awning, it's not that I think maybe you're misunderstanding my issues with it. If you look at 4823 North 75th Way, that awning projects from the wall out the same distance as the awning on their window. So it looks like it's a big giant window. Architecturally, it looks awkward and it looks out of place. Not only that, but it also has the same height and the same vertical drop that the window has. I wouldn't be opposed to some kind of a smaller scale awning over the driveway if you wanted to change the emphasis over the driveway. And I have no issue with the awning that you want to put over the window. And so I think if we can come to a conclusion on a better scale, smaller, shorter, not as deep, over the driveway and get rid of the artificial turf, I think I would be in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So Commissioner Hosmer, do you have, it sounds like you've started a series of proposals. Do you want to continue with what stipulations you think you'd like to see?
Yes, I'd like to stipulate the depth of the awning over the driveway to be 50% less than what the one over the window is. So if it's 28 inches out, just a small 14-inch awning over the driveway, it would be a faux, sort of a faux awning, because it isn't supposed to be trying to extend your shade cover. Otherwise, you're building a carport. And then maybe not have the vertical drop be quite as long. So the vertical height would have to be reduced a little bit, and then reduce the depth. I think if you reduce the depth, it'll automatically reduce the height. So let's say that you remove the 28 inches I think you suggested, and went, say, 16 inches off the wall. That would reduce the height of it as well. And then I would propose that you eliminate the artificial turf. Thank you.
Am I allowed to jump in there? I mean, I agree. I'm fine with that. I have no problems shrinking in that awning. Like I said, it's not being used for anything but for balance. So I have no problem shrinking it back so that it's not so big.
Well, good. Okay. Let's continue. So what about the colors for the awning? Are there any feelings about that amongst the commissioners?
Peter Hosmer. I'm not in favor of the colors, but I think in light of the variation that we see in Villa Monterey, there's already enough precedence to show that we don't have, unless we change the guidelines, there's possibly not anything that we can hold against going with a stark black and white.
Or black and gray? Okay.
Black and gray.
Okay. And then for the driveway, the stipulations that are recommended is prior to issuing the building permit, the landscape improvement plans that will show how the salvage vegetation from the site will be incorporated into the design, and then the 24-inch tree in the front.
Well, Peter Hosmer again. I like that there's a requirement for that. It would be nice to have that there. I just don't see over time a Palo Verde fitting in there. Whereas I'd rather see a Palo Verde or a mesquite in the front yard. It's going to collide with the palm trees. I think it would make for nice shade if it were trimmed up above the windows. But I just don't see that it would work with the two palm trees that are existing.
I would agree with you on that one. Okay, so are there any other commissioners that wish to speak to any of those pieces? I see. Okay, I see no hands raised. Is there someone that wants to propose? Is there someone that wants to propose and make a motion?
I'll make a motion to amend. Let me get to the actually applicant's request here.
So you would accept with stipulations?
Yes, I would accept it with stipulations. The stipulations being that the awning not project over the driveway more than 16 inches, and the vertical drop on the face be reduced proportionately. And I think we'd leave that to Phoenix awning just so the thing looks proportionate. It should look different than the one over the window. And that the artificial grass be eliminated from the application.
Then that the awning, let's see, we're okay with that. And then we're okay with that. Okay, do I have a second?
Commissioner Edmonds, I second.
Okay, thank you. Can we do a roll call vote, Karen?
Yes, Chair Schweiger,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Edmonds,
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau,
Yes.
Commissioner Fedok,
Yes.
Commissioner Hosmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinchin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have to make sure I'm not muted. Thank you so much. Now we move on to the regular agenda item 5, the 2021 election of officers. Ms. McClay, do you have anything to speak on this before I call for nominations?
Doris McClay, Chair Schweiger, and commission members. No, yeah, we just need to have a nomination.
Okay. Are there any nominations from the floor, self or otherwise?
Peter Hosmer. I would like to nominate Christy Kitchen to chair.
Okay. Christy, how do you feel about that nomination?
Anyone else interested? I'm open to it, but I sort of feel like throwing Linda Davis or Peter Hosmer into the mix too for chair and co-chair.
I'll just butt in Peter Hosmer. I'm not interested in being the chairman or the chairperson.
Linda, how about you?
I was going to nominate you, Blair, to continue as chair.
Wait, Mr. Kinchin again. I guess I would say the same. For some reason, I didn't think you, I don't know why I didn't even think to throw yours in. Blair, would you be willing to continue as chair?
I'll second that.
Yes, I will be willing to continue as chair. How about vice chairs then? Linda? Or Commissioner Hosmer, Commissioner Vice Chair Davis, I believe your names have been thrown out. Commissioner Kinchin, how about you?
I would be open for being vice chair, but again, I would like to throw Linda Davis in there since she's our current co-chair. You know, if you guys are both willing and able to carry on, I think we've been doing great. So either which way, I'm cool.
Okay, and I see that Commissioner Brousseau has his hand up.
You know what? I was putting it up and down there for a second. All good. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Commissioner Hosmer, Vice Chair Davis, you're both on there. How do either of you feel about that?
I would like to nominate Linda Davis for vice chair and exclude myself.
I would second having Linda Davis as a co-chair.
This
I
is
think
Linda,
yeah, go ahead.
this is Linda Davis. I would accept the nomination.
Okay. Karen, why don't we do a roll call vote for Chair Schweiger to remain as chair and Vice Chair Davis to remain as vice chair for the 2021 year?
Yes, Chair Schweiger,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Edmonds,
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau,
Yes.
Commissioner Fedok,
Yes.
Commissioner Hosmer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Kinchin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We actually have adjournment on, but I did want to propose another agenda item for sometime in the future. Ms. McClay, I would be interested in having someone from the police department come and speak to us about safety and front yard shrubbery, so that we can be more aware of that in terms of when we make our decisions.
Chair Schweiger, Doris McClay, I will work on that to get that on a future agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also usually have commissioner announcements at this time. Are there any?
Chair Schweiger, Peter Hosmer has a question.
Okay, go ahead.
This would be to Ms. McClay. If you're going to have the police department look at this, could you also potentially involve either the fire marshal or the fire department, at least in part, for the discussion of metal grills over windows, because it creates a fire hazard? And I wouldn't want the police department to contradict the fire safety.
Chair Schweigert and Commissioner Hosmer, yes, I will look into getting the fire department also to present in front of the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I saw Commissioner Kinchin's hand raised.
Yes, hi, Commissioner Kinchin, and I think I've shared this with most of you, but I have a pretty cool update. So the Ralph Haver Triangle building, which is now going to be saved, that is going to be worked into a redevelopment project. They have now very much come to terms with what they have, and the development team is going to propose to make it historic. So they have started all the paperwork, and I believe they're even working with Doris already. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so we will have that in front of us as a commission here soon to make the Ralph Haver Triangle building a historically designated property for the city of Scottsdale. How cool is that? So anyway, that's all I had.
Chair Schweigert, this is Doris McClay. That will be on your February agenda.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your
Go ahead.
part.
Who's up?
Is
I
that
was just
you?
saying, thank you to Christine for whatever you've done to get that put on the register.
Okay, now I have Vice Chair Davis had her hand up.
I just wanted to say that's really great news. Thank you, Christy.
Okay, the Commissioner Brousseau, did you have a comment too?
Just a quick comment. So guys, I know that I don't know if I've mentioned this, maybe I did 3-4 months ago. I've been a real estate agent now long enough to become an instructor. And so about 6 months ago, we started the paperwork with the state. About a month ago, I got my teaching certificate from the Arizona Department of Real Estate. And the class that I'll be teaching to realtors is, as you may or may not know, every 2 years, every realtor who wants to keep their license active has to take 24 hours of continuing education. Most of them are required classes, but you do get an elective. And so I don't know about Christy, but it seems to me I've been to more than my fair share of elective classes on solar power, going green, this type of thing. So I decided let's try to see what the state would think about a historic preservation class. And they loved it. My first class is going to be on the 19th. And because it's 3 hours, I need to really break it up with some media. So for instance, in the next couple of days, Christy and her sister are going to interview with me about, their careers and citing, finding historic homes and all that. I wanted to invite everybody else, if you have 5 minutes tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday, just give me a call and we'll figure out how to put you guys on film. I want to get, for real estate agents, I want to get them as much information as possible to get them going. They are our front lines, they're the influencers in the neighborhoods. They're the people that have the ear of the developers. With this building, with this new growth spurt that Phoenix is going on, I really feel like our historic neighborhoods are the most vulnerable now more than ever. In fact, we just had some stuff come up in the Garden Apartment District, which is, well, I'm sure we'll get to at a later date. But if you guys have anything that you want to get off your chests, please give me a call in the next couple of days, anytime. And I will put you guys on camera. We can do a FaceTime. We can do a Zoom meeting. however you want to do it. I would really appreciate any feedback that you guys have that you'd like to contribute to our classes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brousseau. I see Vice Chair Davis and Commissioner Kinchin's hands up.
This is Linda Davis. Thank you so much, Ben, for spearheading this. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kinchin.
This is Commissioner Kinchin and Ben Brousseau, Commissioner. Thank you so very much for doing this, because this is the reason that I became a commissioner in the first place, because I wanted to increase my knowledge wealth so that I could help our realtor community, because as you guys can tell, when we get applicants that we're not informed as to what a historic home means, what they're able to do with it, what they're able to not do with it. And we end up getting very, very angry folks when realtors don't understand the homes that they are placing their clients in. So I think this is a huge hole in our real estate market, and something that's so desperately needed to be able to protect the public. Just one of our last applicants is having some trouble with us on the commission, and I feel like some of those issues, had they been explained more appropriately and adequately by the realtor involved in the sale, that none of this would be happening.
Precisely. Exactly.
I think this is phenomenal. I can't wait to blast it out to every realtor I know, because just this knowledge base that we can help realtors with, that, and it, you know, to protect the public, which is what we're licensed to do, is so desperately needed. So thank you for taking the time and the initiative to do that. I am so proud to know you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you very much, you guys. It's going to be great.
Thank you, everyone. My announcement is that as your chair, I had to serve on the Citizens Review Committee for the Scottsdale General Plan. That got approved and is moving on to its next phase and moving to City Council before a vote. I hope I represented our commission well. I think most of the things that I wanted got approved. So with that being said, and no further hands up, I will adjourn this meeting until next month. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.